parts of a gun. So instead of bringing an actual gun, so because it is very risky, so we were going to bring our yung plastic guns. We are going to bring, for example, when we talk about digestive systems. So instead of bringing digestive system of an actual person or any kind of animals, we should use the models. So in a nutshell, that's how are we going to create communication aids. So according to Tubbs and Moss 2007, the use of computer graphics also contributes to the interest of the listeners. So computer graphics, this is where the slide is an example of computer graphics. So we have here an example. These are computers. This is a symbol of illustration. This is a symbol of law, and this is a symbol of recycling. So in a nutshell, that is part of communication aids in computer graphics. However, if we want something that the listeners or the audience could see in an actual, so we are going to bring models or objects. Now, what is communication strategy? So, communication strategy is a blueprint or plan. It maps the house in conveying a message. It is designed to help people to communicate effectively and accomplish individual or organizational objectives. Choice of the most useful objectives of communication and recognition of a particular brand and strategies in terms of attitude. So in other terms, yung communication strategy is called blueprint or plan. You have a plan how are you going to present your visual aids, your communication aids. It maps the house and conveying a message. So it answers the question, how am I going to present my communications aids? How am I going to make the listeners listen? How am I going to make the audiences interested in my topic? So that is part of the planning on your communication strategy. So the communication strategy, it will help us to communicate effectively because we have already planned on how are we going to present ourselves, how are we going to present our communication aids. So in this manner, we are prepared and that we are going to communicate effectively because we have prepared ourselves, we have prepared our strategy. So there are those speakers that they are going to give speeches with a lot of movements. They're going to walk here, with actions in here, and then they're going to move to this side of pod. So those are part of the communication strategy. So it will help the audience listen. It will take the interest of the audience to focus on the speaker. So that is part of communication strategy. So in this communication strategy, it is the choice of the most useful objectives of communication. So it's not just about how are you going to present, how are you going to deliver this part of your speech, but it also includes on what are your objectives in presenting your discussion, your speech. So what are the objectives and recognition of a particular brand? So it is when you are going to include advertisements and strategies in terms of attitude. So there are those attitudes when they are going to give public speeches nga pinasinghag, pina-raise sa tone, so pinaduklog sa bangko or sa podium, sa table, sa board. So those are communication strategies and according to the non-verbal action. So raising your tone is part of non-verbal. So it will take the interest or the attention of the audiences. So visual aids. So the goal is to enhance the speech and develop sensationalism. So you're presenting visual aids, you're presenting objects, models, not just to have it that your audience will take a look at it, but also it will help enhance the speech and develop sensationalism. So the listeners, the audience are there. You have the object and the audience will take interest in your model. So ito pala yun, ganito pala yun, ito pala nasa loob ng Earth, ito pala yung layers ng Earth. When you are discussing about Earth science, so you're going to present an object or models of Earth. So, the second is it makes discussion more interesting. So, dili ba? So when you have the models, you have this, you have that, you're presenting it to the audience, to the listeners. So it will make your discussion more interesting because it will take the attention, it will have their interest to it. When you are giving them, for example, you are giving your objects to a certain listener, hey, here, take a look at this. So, yun, ganon. Mainteresado na yung audience, yung listeners, sa ano mo, sa discussion mo. So, it will make your discussion interesting. So, next is, according to Towns in Moss, 2007, use of computer graphics also contributes to the interest of the listener. So, this is what we are talking a while ago. So, it will help, the computer graphics also contributes interest. So, dili ba? So, can you describe our slides? So, instead of just putting there the words, the phrases of the discussion, we have included these illustrations to take your interest. So, the example of here is we have the camera, we have tapes, the audio symbol, and the music symbol, or the note symbol. So, visual text should have no more than 6 lines of words. So, this is part of getting the interest so that the audience will not have an information overload. The information that given to your audience would not be overloaded in their minds, in their thinking. So it should have the visual text should have no more than 6 lines of words. However, as we have observed of our slide, so it is more than 6 lines of words. So, however, we have no excuse for that because all that hidden there is important, important information. So I hope you will consider and you will not have this information overload.
So for the next reporter, so just be sure you are going to follow. You're going to follow. So all of those are important, but you can break. You can break also. Okay. So next slides.
So, so six. So, because first time I have read the discussion, I thought that the visual text, the term that no more than 6 lines of words, I thought that it was these points. So, these lines. So, it was misunderstood by me. However, I am hoping that the next reporters will follow. So, the next.
So sa next na mga slides,
There are
in other subjects, you're still first year, so you still have more years. So at least you know already how to make a visual aids. Not that you are going to puno ninyo tanan din haog. Okay, because as the reporter said, listeners undergo visual overload if speakers use plenty of visuals.
So the next is color and variations add emphasis to visual text. So I have really planned what colors should I add into this slide, into this presentation. And I have researched that color blue and light red are presentations of English language. So I have added the light blue and light red. So I hope it takes your attention to listen to our discussion. So the next is
So why? Color blue and a light blue? Is it light blue?
Yan siya mga light blue. Light blue green.
Oh, so blue green and light red pink. What's na siya? Light red.
Light pink, light green.
No, mura siya brass. Oh, sabi. Pero the color combination is cool. Yes, dili siya sakit sa mata. Now.
So the last one is listeners undergo visual overload if speakers use plenty of visuals. So it was already explained that in order to prevent visual overload, the visual text should have no more than 6 lines of words. And next, to avoid visual overload, according to Cheryl Hamilton, proposed an idea. It was cited on 1996 from Woods 1997. So, in order to divide, to break down your discussion or the phrases or the sentences of your discussion, there is a formula or that is proposed by Gerald Hamilton. It is length of speech divided by 2 plus 1 is equal to maximum number of visuals. So, for example, you have your length of speech is 1 hour or 1.5 hours, and you're thinking how many slides should your presentation have. So you're going to divide 1.5 hour by 2 plus 1. So the equals or the result is the maximum number of visuals. So compute it yourselves. So that is how you are going to break down your discussion. That is how you are going to make how many maximum number of visuals that is proposed by Gerald Hamilton. So the visual aids also supports the speaker's discourse. So we have already talked about it. So it takes the attentions, the interest of the audiences. So speakers should maintain eye contact to the listeners. So you should not always look into your visuals. You're not going to face your back to your listeners, but you should maintain eye contact here, eye contact there, eye contact everywhere. Read your visual sometimes once, twice, and explain it to your listeners. So that is one of the strategy you are going to present your visuals. So according to Woods 1997 states that a well-prepared speech with a visual aid surely provides clarity to the presentations, to the presentation. So it is very understandable that if you did not understand the presentation, then it means that the presenter, the speech was not well prepared. So that is in your side, you're going to make your judgments that, hindi na prepara yung presentation ng reporter na ito. So because you did not have the clarity, you did not understand very well the presentation. So it's not just because in your part that you have less intellect, but it is in the part of the presenter that the presenter did not prepare very well. So you have to remember always to improve your self-esteem nga dili ka siya sala ninyo nga kung kasabot. Sala ka siya sa report nyo, wala kitaro. Okay? So I hope that it will help to boost your self-esteem. So let's move on to types of communication aids. It will be presented by Ms. Nikiamas.